Happy Sunday, fam. It's March 1st. This is the 24K Life radio show, but I actually share it on my social media channels just in case somebody wants to jump on. We are live on Vibe106.com. The Vibe106.com. It is an urban internet radio show. Or station, I apologize. And I suggest strongly you check it out. You know, they play some great music, 80s, 90s, and more. We are going to officially kick off the show. It is a radio show. So when you see me doing nothing on the commercial breaks, it's because we are alive on the radio. Robert Langford, 8299. What's up, my ninja? How you doing, bruh? I'm glad you're here, and I hope you stay around. We're going to talk about how to write your own book, if you're interested in that. I wrote a book, and I get asked a lot about, what the process is, what it takes, how to do it. So this is a live radio show, and we are starting right now. So hold on tight, and we're going to get cranking. Hey, this is Derek Gant coming to you live on Vibe106.com. Happy March 1st. I am so excited to have you here. I know and you know that when you do everything in your power to elevate your life, the money just cometh. We're going to get started right now. You're listening to the 24K Life on Vibe106.com, the home of R&B, old school, new school, Motown, hip-hop, 90s, 80s, and more. Simply the best music 24/7. We are in the study of the Vibe House where we talk real life, real money, and being your best self. I'm your host, Derek Gant, and every Sunday, I'm here to help you think bigger, work smarter, and become unstoppable. You know why? Because around here, we don't chase mediocrity. We dominate and walk in our divinity. This show is about living your 24K life, mastering your mind, money, body, and soul to live boldly and unapologetically at your highest level. Are you ready? Let's lock in. Hey, I hope you're ready to lock in because I'm bringing a little extra magic today. Today is the day that we're going to talk about, we talk about multiple streams of income. Today, I'm going to show you one multiple stream of income. We're going to talk about how to write your book. It's a multitude of what it's going to do for you or what it could do for you if you're interested. I want to thank Robert Langford for hopping on. I don't remember seeing dude on, but I'm excited to have him on. Coach Dawn is on. I'm always excited to see her. That is the love of my life and my heart. She keeps me on point. What? Yeah, brother can get off point. You need somebody in your life that can help nudge you back to the right, to the middle, to wherever it is you're supposed to be. And I hopefully do the same for her. But I'm going to show you a little magic. We're going to talk about how to write a book, how to write your first, written piece, why you should do it. And I'm going to walk you through the steps during this hour of the 24K Life show on how to get it done. Listen, if you want to ask questions, you can text the show. The show text is 419-972-1922. For those of you that are on the radio, it is 419-972-1922. I've put the number up on the screen for those of you that are online, LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. So check us out, 419-972-1922. But I'm going to give you a little magic. I'm going to show you how to get that money rolling. It is your season if you're ready.
Showtime. yourself, known to give the color red the blue. Woo, shit! I'm a dangerous man with some money in my pocket. Keep up! So many pretty girls around me and they're waking up the rocket. Keep up! Why you mad? Fix your face. Ain't my fault they all be jocking. Keep up! Players only. Come on, put your pinky rings up to the moon. Girls, what y'all trying to do? 24 karat magic in the air. Head to toe so clear. Look out! Second verse for the hustlers, gangsters, bad bitches and your ugly ass friends. I cannot preach, I cannot preach. I gotta show them how I can't get it in. First, take your sip, do your dip, spend your money like money ain't shit. Ooh, way too fresh. Got to blame it on Jesus. Hashtag blessed. They ain't ready for me. I'm a dangerous man with some money in my pocket. Keep up. So many pretty girls around me and they're waking up the rocket. Keep up. Why you mad? Fix your face. Ain't my fault they all be jocking. Keep up. Players only. Come on, put your pinky rings up to the moon. Hey girls, what y'all trying to do? What you trying to do? 24 karat magic in the air. Head to toe so clear. Look out! Everywhere I go, they be like, oh, so bad. Everywhere I go, they be like, oh, so bad. Everywhere I go, they be like, oh, so bad. Now, watch me break it down like 24 karat, 24 karat magic. What's that sound? 24 karat magic. Come on now.
The 24K life is all about building your personal value, that magic inside yourself. What I'm sharing, what I'm teaching, the philosophy is to elevate what's in here and here so that you master yourself, become the best version of yourself, and then take that product outside of yourself to society. Make them pay you for all that greatness. Make them pay you for that magic. And they gonna want to. You ain't gotta make them do nothing. They gonna wanna be a part of your magic because you are adding value to their life every step of the way. Hey, listen, our first episode is brought to you by Amin Poet Production Company. When sound is all you need, check out Amin Poet Productions. It's AMINPOET.com. Amin Poet Production Company. When sound is all you need. My producer, Dr. Mr. Brother Charles Reynolds, is setting you up for excellence. Listen, let me share with you the process of writing your own book. Now, the first thing I got to do, and this may be probably something I shouldn't say, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's just what you come to expect on my show. When you're writing a book, number one, make sure it's a book. And if it's not a book, don't tell people you're writing a book. Tell people, if it's a pamphlet, tell people you're writing a pamphlet. If it's a book of poems or a collection of poems, other people's ideas, then tell them you are putting together a private premium selection of your favorite poems. But what most of us, or what I've seen most people do, or some people do, they say they're writing a book and they come out with this 30-page thing that's like a white paper. It's not a book. Number one, let's make sure you're writing a book because you don't want to get clowned by people who actually wrote a book. Now, first of all, let me share with you the book. It is the 24K Life Code, the only difference between mediocrity and greatness. It is 324 pages of my philosophy of how you can improve yourself to provide value for the rest of the world. It is 21 chapters and an epilogue, so I call that 22 chapters, being that 22 is my favorite number. If you want a copy of the book, then hit me up on the show. It is 419-297-7772. I actually changed the cover. This is the original cover. This is the cover that I changed. Now, when you look at it, you can notice the drastic difference in covers. And there was a strategy. I didn't have this strategy initially, but there was a strategy of changing the cover And for some of you, you may not go into too much deep thought as to why I changed the cover. Now, before I actually picked the cover image, this is like the last thing that you're going to do, by the way. This is the end part. But when I picked the cover, I talked to some people who had actually written a book. And, you know, the purpose of the book for everybody is not book sales. Right now, I know I mentioned multiple streams of income, and I have received income. The question is, I have to do the math to see if I've actually received the return on what I actually input into writing the book. That's my time, the editing, the publishing, the graphic design, inside and outside. I'll have to do the math one day to see if I got my money back. But I will tell you the reason why it's not a serious stream of income is because the average self-published author, meaning you published it yourself, and we're going to talk about publishing the traditional way or self-publishing, but the average self-published author only sells 250 copies of the book. Now, I know for sure that we are into the thousands of copies, but that should give you some numbers as well, because if we're into thousands of copies and I'm questioning if I got my money back, then you know that number one, I spent some money, and number two, it's not for profit. And I'm going to tell you what it is for and why you should do it. But I started my process of writing the 24K Life. Somebody gave me a heart for hopefully for the book, but maybe it was for Bruno Mars. I don't know. Anyway, writing a book is not for the faint of heart. It is hard work to actually start and finish, right? And mostly to finish, because when I started writing my book, it was 10 years before I finished it. Now, that doesn't mean I was writing it for 10 years. What it means is that I started the process, and over a 10-year period, I messed around with it. I wasn't a serious writer. I just kind of messed around. And then 1 year, I don't love or really get into setting New Year's resolutions, but 1 year I made the decision that I was going to finish my book. And I tried several strategies before this actual come to Yeshua moment. And I started writing it myself. And it was so boring, I just couldn't do it, right? I just had to stop and figure out a better way to make the book more interesting. When you talk about money, when you talk about finances, and I was going to call the book From Red to Black, because red is when you're bleeding and you're broke, and when you're in the black, you are making money. So I was going to call it From Red to Black, and I started writing it, and I got about 2 chapters in, and it was just like watching paint dry. It was like watching paint dry. I couldn't take it. So there's got to be a better way. There has to be something more interesting. So I just kind of messed around with it for a few years, and then I decided that I was going to hire a ghostwriter. So obviously the problem is that I need a ghostwriter. So one of my best friends from college's wife was in the world of starting her ghostwriting career. And she worked for a university, actually the Bowling Green State University, which is where I'm from. I Ziggy Zumba, for those of you that are Falcons, talons up. And so we got together, we talked about it, we chopped it up, we agreed to what it was going to cost me to have her do it. She's a brilliant woman, and that was the problem. Here's your first tip for writing a book. The average person, right? The average person reads at a 7th grade level. So her being so smart, she was showing her brilliance, which is great. However, when I got the book back, or at least, when I got the draft back of the first couple chapters, I didn't understand half the stuff that she said. That was the opening about my life. She used words that I had to Google and look up. Now, I'm not dissing her. She is super smart, and she should be probably a ghostwriter for academia books. Or this is many, many years ago, so maybe she's figured out how to bring down or dumb it down. But, it's hard for smart people to dumb stuff down. So I talked to her. I said, hey, this is great, but you're using words I got to look up. And if we're writing a book, or if I'm writing a book, you're writing a book, whatever. And we got to have people stop and look the words up. It's a problem. It's not going to work. People are going to read it, and then they're not going to like it, and they're not going to leave it out. They're not going to encourage other people to buy it. So we need to dumb this down. And so she dumbed it down for me. So she dumbed down the verbiage in the book, which was great. but she did not. She dumbed it down to like master's degree versus doctorate degree, or college degree versus, and I'm like, hey, people write, they read at a 7th grade level. So we need to dumb this way down. And so she couldn't do it, long story short. So then another few years passed, and before you know it, you blink, 10 years are gone. So I wake up and I'm looking at, this is actually not December going into New Year's. This is like actually January, February of 2019. And I said, one of my things I'm going to do this year is I'm going to finish the book. So I made that commitment and I was just locked in for some reason. So the first lesson for you is when you're ready, you've got to be able to lock in to the process, because it is a process to get this done. Hey, if you want to hit up the show, 419-972-1922. We are talking about how to launch and write, how to write, publish, and then launch your first book. If you want to write a pamphlet, easy peasy. We're going to get into all of it, but we're really talking about how to write your first book. You might say, well, Derek, what's a real book? Well, that's up for you to decide, but I can tell you this much. When I pick up a book, or what's told to me to be a book, and it is a collection of somebody else's poems, I'm not interested and I'm not reading it. Unknown Boy YT-21 said, hi, what's good? Glad you're here. Hopefully you'll stay. We're talking about how to write a book. If you want to share your actual name, I'll be happy to shout you out. We're on Vibe106.com, the radio show, home of the R&B, old school, new school. But my job on the radio show is to bring opportunities for people to make more money, to master their money, to increase their value. And that's why the 24K Life is a perfect show for this segment, because it is all about how do you master your mind, your money, your body, your brand, your relationships, and your spirituality. If you're not mastering yourself, then you are what we call a follower, better known as a sheep. I know I'm being ruthless today, but this is an important topic. We're talking about multiple streams of income, and we're using the book as an opportunity to show you how you can create more revenue in your life. And of course, you can make more, but the point is, do you keep more? So I make this commitment to write the book, and I then proceed to start writing. And once I committed to writing, I realized that the first 2 chapters were probably trash. And so I actually literally balled them up, threw them away, and I started from scratch. So I don't want you to start from scratch. So I'm going to share with you what you need to do all the way through, so you don't have to keep restarting, so that you don't start, because I restarted for 10 years, so that you don't keep restarting and you can get this thing launched off and done. So let's get into it. There is not a show about writing. There's no course. I'm sure there is a course. I'm sure somebody's selling a course, but you don't need a course. You just need to watch the show. And if you need to watch a replay, hit me up. We have a replay that will be available on YouTube for you to watch the show, or you can hit us up on our mobile app and we will have this inside of there. But a good number of people have mentioned and talked about wanting to write a book, but very few, very, very few have built a life worth documenting. You got to have something worth documenting. If I wasn't a financial consultant, a fitness freak, and what I would consider to be relatively successful, what would I write about? So you want to build a life that's worth writing about. It could be a skill, you know how to do something. It could be maybe it is your life and you grew up. I've told plenty of women who grew up getting abused and neglected, and then grew up abused and neglected, and then was a single mom and then went to nursing school and did this. And I said, you should write a book, because there are millions of women that are just like you that don't think that they can make it. And so you have to have a story. That story is a good enough story, for that person to write a book, in my humble opinion. And if you know me at all, I'm only humble when I think I might be wrong. And I'm not being humble, I'm being direct. So, what you want to be able to do and understand is that you are writing to be an authority. You want people to understand what's in your head that you put on paper. And so This is about sovereignty. Okay, this isn't about sales, it's about sovereignty. It's about you, and sovereignty means I am the king or queen of my domain. This is about you being king or queen. When you get triggered by other people, when you can't get your words out or your thoughts out, you're not in control. So this is a process of sovereignty, of formalizing your thought process, formalizing your philosophy, formalizing your skill set, and then sharing it with the world. You know, the real truth of the matter is that if you're writing for applause, if you want people to recognize you and go, oh my God, she wrote a book, you might as well not write it, right? You can figure out other ways to get attention. You know, just go twerk or do something else like that. You don't need to spend the money, the time, the energy to write a book to get that. So if you're writing for applause, just go ahead, stop listening, cut the show off, and keep it moving. But if you're writing to establish a standard, your standard, then you should stay for the show. I also recommend that you might want to grab something that you can take notes with, because I'm going to share a lot. Or at the very least, mark this show. If you're on the radio, you might want to check this out on YouTube and mark the show so you can come back and revisit, and then you can fulfill the notes as to what you want to do. I am going to, not going to talk about it right this second, but I am going to discuss using AI in writing your book. Now, I know nothing about, like from experience, about using AI to write your book, but I have deep opinions about it, and they are positive. But anyway, I got ideas about it. But let's get started. And I told you that this segment was brought to you by Amen Poet Productions. When all sound is all you need, go to amenpoetproductions.com. Check them out. They're going to help you out. You know, a book is not about the content. The book is about intellectual ownership. When you publish a book, you're formalizing your philosophy. You convert lived discipline into a transferable structure. And see, this is the single most difficult thing that you can do. And when I'm talking in life, I'm talking about in this whole project, in the whole process of writing. Because, you know, for years, I used a philosophy and a strategy with my team to manage money, okay? And when I tried to take what was, hey, we're doing this first, this second, this third, this fourth for this particular client, and if the client goes left, then we need to do this, this, and this. If they go right, then we need to do this, this, and this. So we had a all-out strategy. But taking that and putting it all into words, we can put it into steps because those are called bullet points. But when you want to put it into words, it becomes excruciatingly more difficult. You know, it sounds easy because you have mastered your life. You know about nursing, you know about mothering, you know about overcoming, but putting it into words that people can relate to was the single most difficult part. I thought it would be the easiest part. It was the most difficult part, bar none. You know, don't write this book to heal. Don't write this book to vent. And don't write the book to be seen. You need to write it to transfer your authority, your gift, your anointing, your magic to the world. That's why you write a book. I wrote the book because I wanted to affect millions. Now, I know I only sold thousands, but I wrote the book to affect millions of people's lives because there's only one me. I could only talk to so many people during the course of my lifetime. Video, audio, the book, all of it gives people an opportunity. And because of the services that I provide, and because they come at a premium, meaning you got to pay for me to coach you and walk you through to get to greatness, most people can't afford, not most people, some people can't afford that. So I wanted to give them the same information but make it affordable. And when you write a book, and the book cost, you know, the paperback cost $14.99, and the hard copy cost $24.99. I started with the hard copy because I like the hard copy. I feel like I really got something. I switched and I did both because I wanted people to be able to afford the price point, and I also wanted them to be able to take it with them. You can ball this up and put it in your purse. You can put this in your backpack. This is a little bit more difficult to take with you wherever you go. So I wanted the paperback almost as a Bible. And it is my secondary Bible, right? There's the Bible, then there's the code. So you can see how passionate I am about the book. That's how passionate you will be about your book. You know, you have built something once you write a book that is repeatable, right? It explains the details. I could say to you, listen, you need to set up an emergency fund and you need to get $10,000 in there before you start to invest. And when you want to invest, let's go out and let's take a look. And that's great, definitely solid information. But man, I missed a whole bunch of minute steps that you need to take to really get to the 10, to really get to the investing. So the book fills in all those details, right? So it helps you to map your brain out on paper so that you can be repeatable. It helps you refine something that you've already tested and you've prepared yourself to defend it. So what conditions do you need to actually write a book? You know, you need clarity. So when I wrote my book, I was being too smart for my own good. The first thing I did was I said, okay, well, it's 24K Life Code. We're going to have 24 chapters. And then I began to outline, not even outline, to bullet point 24 concepts that I have about my life. So I listed these 24 concepts, right? And then I began to fill in each one. And this is exactly what I did. And it was exactly wrong. So I began to fill in each one, okay? So I wrote on the first concept and I wrote everything that I could write, everything I thought I needed to write. Thank you, Coach Dawn. I'm glad that I'm happy to offer these insights to people to elevate and to share their gifts and their anointing. It's my anointing to share this so that you can build your anointing. Hey, if you're on and you're watching this, please go to the comments and tell me your name or say hi or say I love it or I hate it or you should shut up or you should keep talking. Whatever you want to say. We need haters and we need lovers. Coach Dawn is my lover. Thank you for the love, Coach Dawn. I appreciate it greatly and don't think that I ever take it for granted. So here's what you need to do before you write. And this is the part that you should really be taking notes on. What is this standard for? What's the standard for? So if I were to say to myself, what is the 24K Life standard for? It's for people to understand how to structure their life, not at a mediocre level. The book tells you exactly the only difference between mediocrity, which is average, and greatness. It is not hard to be average, which is why they call it average. It's because most people fall into the average. So mediocrity is just where most people live. You got to work really hard to be below average, and you got to work really hard to be above average. So it is to help people overcome the standard of mediocrity. Okay, so that would be how I would answer the question. You need to answer, what weakness does my book eliminate? My philosophy, my book, my skill set. And now, if you're writing a biography, then don't worry about anything of what I'm saying. You just go ahead and start writing about your life, and that's easy, right? Your outline is your life. From 0 to 10, this is what happened. From 10 to 15, this is what happened. Yada yada yada. But if you're writing something else, right, you want to follow these and you want to say, what weakness does this eliminate? What identity does it upgrade? So my book upgrades the identity that if you master yourself, that the world will, let me back up. When you master yourself, the world will recognize that excellence, because when you master yourself, you are operating in excellence, and excellence is a frequency. Very few people operate up here. They operate in mediocrity. So you're operating in excellence, which is a frequency. The world they say they want excellence. They say they want excellence, and they are willing to pay for it, right? That's why parents pay coaches to help train their kids one-on-one on their basketball skills or their footwork skills or their soccer skills, because they don't want them to be average. They want them to be exceptional so they can go get some of that NIL money. Hey, I did it. Nobody did it for me, but I did it for mine. It took them as far as they wanted to go. Spent all the training dollars I could spend. Martial arts, piano, football, whatever. Weightlifting. What discipline does this require? See, self-mastery requires incredible discipline because you're saying no to the average BS that everybody else is falling into. And I know I usually play more music and take more breaks during the show, and I really want to, but it's too much information here to take breaks. You just got to flow with me and go with me. And if you really want to hear a song, then all you got to do is hit me up, 419-972-1922. Don't put it in the comments. Text me, and I will play a song for you. And the next song that I want to play, I'm not going to play it right now, but the next song I want to play is I Believe. You know, most of the songs that I play got something to do with belief. Because when you believe in your own greatness, you are completely unstoppable. You can't tell me nothing. Coach Dawn said to me, and she knows I normally don't say this, but she said to me, hey, good luck, have a great show. I said, don't need it. I am elevating my own mindset to a level that I believe in myself, what I deliver, how I deliver it, and that I was anointed. If you've ever seen this show before, you know I tell everyone, every show, that you are called and coded for greatness. That means that you have every bit of the recipe you need inside of you. You don't need any outside influence to be great. And that's something else that I want to share with you super quick. When I started really writing the book, I stopped reading other people's books. I stopped listening to people that I normally listen to for guidance and instructions. You know, it could be Oprah, or it could be Ilana Van Zandt, or it could be, you know, whoever. I stopped listening to any outsiders because what I really didn't want was to be subconsciously influenced by anything anyone else is saying, assuming it's my own idea and putting it in the book to only be told later, yeah, Oprah said that. And I'm like, shit, she sure did. Now I'm not authentic. Now I'm just copying what everybody else is saying. Now, King Solomon said, and I know I'm talking fast, but there's a lot to get in. King Solomon said there's nothing new under the sun. And we know there's nothing new. But trust and believe, you don't want to be caught in your whole, production copying somebody else's content or somebody else's content. You want the authority for yourself, and you want to say it in your way. So, what action must be followed to completion? These are the questions you need to ask yourself before you even start. Okay, I've answered the first couple. Let me answer the last couple. What discipline is required? Well, what discipline is required and what action must I follow to completion, to me, are pretty close to the same thing. The discipline, so what I did was, and I'm self-employed, right? And, I hire other people to work with me. So I was able to maneuver my own schedule. So what I did was I wrote every Friday. I would stop meeting clients at noon, and at 2:00 every Friday, I would start writing. And then I would write 1 hour. I would block out 1 hour a day at 6 or 7 o'clock during the week. And on Friday, I literally would not move except to, do the essentials from my writing station. I would be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I would stop Sunday around 6 o'clock to get my life ready for the week. But that whole weekend was writing. The whole weekend was writing. And during the week, I might spend an hour. And I started spending an hour because if I waited from Friday to Friday to start, or from Sunday to Friday to start, I felt like I had to go back and read. I didn't feel like I had to go back and reread the last portions of what I wrote so that I wouldn't be repeating myself in the process. But if I wrote a little bit every day and then I balled out Friday, Saturday, Sunday, man, I was in good shape. I didn't have to go back and reread. It was just a constant flow of information, and I could take notes. Here's the single declaration you need to ask yourself, okay? This book establishes the standard for blank to move from blank to blank. So this book establishes a standard for what? Got to fill that in. To move from blank to blank. So for me, I would have answered this question. This book establishes a standard for personal freedom to move from mediocrity to greatness. That's what mine would have said, okay? I didn't have this. Nobody walked me through this. I would have begged somebody to walk me through this because I spent a lot of extra time I didn't need to spend, and I'm going to tell you why as we keep going. So the next portion of this is the framework that you need to really get going. This framework is brought to you by DJ, Mr. J. He's on tonight.
DJ, 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 DJ,
DJ, Mr. J, Eugene. He is in the vibe at 8 p.m. tonight. You should check him out. He plays some mean beats, something that will get you nice and chill going into the week. So what is the framework to get this done? Well, I will tell you that my framework, as I've already mentioned, was I wrote these 24 topics and I start writing. Okay? Not so much. And I'll share you a little what happened. So here's your choices of structure. Model A is you identify a weakness, then awareness, then a standard, and then implementation. So that's the way your book is going to go. Weakness, people are broke. They're spending all their money. Awareness, they're living check to check. The standard, staying broke the rest of their life and retiring poor. And then, or the standard could be the solution, right? And then the implementation. How do I get this done? Model B, experience, what you extracted from the experience. Codification. Codification is proving that it works. And then how do you make it work, the application? Now, I'm going to stop there and share with you that I'm not a big fan of books that tell me, hey, I'm Mark the Miraculous, and I was able to become a multimillionaire by doing this, and you should do it too. And let me tell you in my book how I did it. I will never read a book like that. Now, I might read a biography, but just out of interest. Like I might read about Obama or Beethoven. Do you know Beethoven was black? What? Or was it Mozart? It was Beethoven. He was black. Anyway, nevertheless, I digress. So I might read a biography just out of curiosity, right? Just to read a story about how people overcome. Great. But if you write a book and say, I was hugely successful playing soccer, and here's the drills that I did, and here's the school that I can't do the same things you did. I was raised by different parents. I grew up in a different geographic location. Those things aren't going to work. My book is a book of tools, right? So if you're going to write a book of tools, soccer drills that I can do, great. But if you're going to tell me every step that you took, all the protein that you took, all the vitamins you took, means nothing to me because my body reacts differently to different vitamins, different supplements, and I'm in a different location. So think about that very clearly. If you want to write a book and beat your chest about how great you are and how people should follow you because how great you are, they'll probably buy it, but it's not going to help them. See, we're playing a long game, right? We're playing the long game. If you want to play the short game, then tell them how great you are. Tell them that here's everything that you did and they should do it too. And then when they fail at doing it, then you're done. They'll never buy anything else. They'll never listen to anything else. They'll never trust you for anything else because it didn't work. If it doesn't work, people move on. So Model C is, what is your method, right? So what are all the tools? What are the proof that those tools work? And then show you how to replicate it, okay? That is what the deal is. So you want to write your chapters first. So I did do that part. Then you want to write the supporting principles, and then you want to expand from there. But you never write without a structure. So the structure that I used was to write these 24 headlines or chapters and then start writing. And I'm telling you, it didn't work. It didn't work because that was all the thought I gave it, okay? Number one, when I started writing, I had a couple of those titles because I was pressing to get to 24 that were really close. So I could tell the same information in one chapter compared to two. So it was like duplication or a waste of time, okay? Which I didn't realize. The other thing is that when I went to the editor and I paid this woman a ton of money to edit this book, because that is the single most important part. If you write something and it's mechanically wrong, it's structurally wrong, then you're done. So let me tell you my story about the editor. So I probably was 4 chapters in, and I started looking for an editor. You need an editor. So I started looking for an editor, start asking questions about editors, and man, did God bless me. I found this woman who edited Dave Ramsey's books. And Dave Ramsey, if you don't know him, is a financial guy. Okay, he does a radio show and all the other stuff. So like him or not, that wasn't the point. The point was I found somebody that understood the mechanics and the finance and the structure of this type of book. And the 24K Life Code is about money. It's about fitness. It's about finance. It's about spirituality. It's about your personal routine for fitness. So we cover all those areas. But anyway, I wanted somebody that kind of knew that structure. So I found her, and I was crystal clear. And here's the problem with most people. You're not clear about your intentions. So I called her up. We had a little powwow. And trust and believe, I had to talk her into accepting me as a client. So I said to her, listen, here's the story. Here's what we're doing. She goes, oh my God, this sounds amazing. Send me 2 or 3 chapters. Like, okay, great. So I sent her the chapters. And when I sent her the chapters, I said, listen, I need you to tell me if this content, if this information is something, this is exactly what I said. And I know you guys are going, dude, you're so childish. I said, listen, tell me if this should be written in crayon for kids as a joke, right? And I should just let it go, basically just stop. Is this something that has merit and that I should continue to go? Or if it's something that's just a good idea that should be, a blog post? I really want to know because my intent is to have a real book. So I sent her the 3 chapters. She came back and she said, nope, you really got some really good stuff here, but obviously you're not a writer, so we need to fine tune some things. And so she told me what to do. I finished writing the book, okay, from that information. The first editing draft had 14,000 red marks, crossed out line, crossed out words, arrows to move stuff, 14,000. Okay, I submitted 70,000 words and it had 14,000 mistakes. Okay, so she then told me that, bro, you got a lot of amazing content here, but it's not in the right order. It doesn't flow really well. So you need to rip this apart and then put it back together. I said, okay, because I was serious about writing this book, that's exactly what I did. I ripped it apart, and she gave me a few suggestions. I ripped it apart, and I re-established it and gave it back to her. The second time, I only had 2,000 red marks. I was ecstatic. That was great progress, right? She was very, very, very impressed that I know 14,000 mistakes. What'd you say, Coach Don? I would what? Hey, Kobe McDade. You would have been so frustrated. I wasn't frustrated. I was happy because, Coach Don, you know me. My motto, my personal motto is I need to know where I stand. So at that point, she said, you got something really good, but you got to fix this stuff. Okay? If you fix the stuff, it's going to be really good. I was cool with that. So I knew what to do and where to, well, I didn't know what to do, but I knew where to go and I knew where to get started. So I was great with that. So I took those 14, I got it down to 2, I resubmitted it, I tore it apart, put it together. And here's the truth. Because I only written the topics down, I had like my intro and life story, and then I had some money tips. I got a couple money tip chapters, and then I had a fitness chapter, and then I had a mindset chapter, and then I had a money chapter. So she was like, this is not flowing. So rip it apart, put all the money stuff together, put all the mindset stuff. And I know you're saying, that should be obvious. I never wrote a book. I don't even like writing articles. I don't even like writing posts, okay? So I wasn't a writer. I didn't call myself an author or a writer at this point. And it was years after I finished the book that I even would say I was an author, right? Or not an author. I'm an author, a writer. So I ripped it apart, put it back together. She was super impressed, which gave me super confidence. Plus she had edited other famous people's books. So I was like, yeah, I'm good. Just so you get a vibe for what that cost because of her professionalism, I'm pretty sure it cost me $5,000. Okay, it cost me around $5,000 to have her edit the book, and that was 2 edits, then in a final. So you want to do something that's excellence, you have to operate in excellence and be unwilling to accept mediocrity. So that was my story with the book. You never want to write without structure. So what I would recommend that you do is you write your chapters down, and then you begin to outline each chapter. So you want to put the bullet points of what the chapters are. So if you look at my book, yes, we have the chapter title, and then we have sub-chapter titles within each chapter title. So that would be the thing to do. That's going to show you right off the rip. So what am I saying? I didn't have an outline. I'm telling you, I did not write with an outline. Now, when she sent me back those 14,000 mistakes, I created an outline at that point. But I already had the content. So it was crazy hard. And let me tell you why. Because when I wrote the book the first time, in chapter 18, I would say, hey, like I said in chapter 6, we're going to build on that concept of, extrapolating value. And so you have to do this, this, and this now that you've done what I said in chapter 6. Well, when you rip that crap apart and you put all of those sections together, you can no longer say chapter 6. You got to say, okay, like I said in chapter 3, okay, and you have to, so all the chapters got discombobulated, and I had to mentally, you just saw the mess. It was a huge mess that I made to figure out what was what and where was where, but I did it because I was driven to greatness. I was called and coded. You can say, if you're in a church, you say, I was anointed to get this work done. If you're in the street, you would say, I'm him. If you were in the coaching business, you say it's magic. But combine all those together, that's what it was. And that's what my intent was. So you need discipline to execute what we're talking about. Authorship demands self-governance. If you're not going to commit to a writing pattern, if you're not going to commit to that, it doesn't matter what your pattern is. You can write 2 hours a day. I told you what mine was, whatever yours is, but you can't write and then stop and then revisit it when you think you have time, or it's going to be 10 years like it was for me. Okay? You need to set a daily standard for production, like I already shared with you. You have to be able to sustain consistent output. Writer's block is not a creative issue. It's a clarity deficiency. You're not clear about where you're going. And here's the point. If you're writing about your skill set, if you're writing about your profession, if you're writing about your philosophy, when you map it out, now you're clear. But, let's say you're reading a fiction book. Let's say you're writing a fiction book and you haven't figured out the end yet. That's when you you see why the clarity is a problem, right? Because you haven't defined the end. And I've heard of people writing fiction books and they're like, well, I don't know what the end's going to be yet, but they just keep writing. And maybe it's not their first book, so they know that that's their process and that might work for them. So understand that you have to refine this premise of execution and follow it if you truly want to finish something great. You also want to rely on momentum. Once you start something, you put it in motion. You don't want to break the momentum because now you got to start over again. And you literally, there were times I literally had to go back and read from the beginning to the current point to figure my continuity, because maybe I did take a week off for vacation or whatever the case may be. Okay? You really prefer not to do that. So I talked about the editing. Editing is not cosmetic. It is called structural integrity. If you don't plan on having a high-end editor, and I don't mean like I did, right? But if you don't plan on finding somebody who writes and edits to go through your stuff, then you should not even be writing. And if you think that you write well enough that you don't need it, you're lying to yourself. Because let me tell you why. So I wrote the book. I finished the book. And we're going to get into publishing. Then we're going to have to shut this down. We might have to do a part 2. So I wrote the book and I got the first copy, right? And this is the original cover. I already shared with you the current cover, original cover. I don't think I finished the conversation about that. So the original cover, the people that I talked to that had already written a book says, listen, bro, this is the new modern resume. This proves that you're an authority figure. You want to put your face on the cover of the book so people know that you're the authority figure. And that's that. So I did that. And it was cool. And nobody's calling to buy your book, right? You're speaking, you are talking about it, you posting it on the internet, and yes, all your family's going to buy a copy, your friends are going to get a copy. And by the time you get through all that, you sold 100 copies, right? If you really want to break the mold and sell over 250 copies, I told you the average self-published author sells 250 copies, you got to do something exceptional, okay? So I did that. I pushed out. I probably had gotten rid of or put 500 copies out. All right. So I was cool with that. But then I said, I want to see my book. You guys like go in, I don't really go into Walmart often. I'm not allowed to go into Walmart because Coach Don don't like Walmart. But anyway, I digress. So don't you want to go to Walmart or Barnes and Noble or go to some bookstore or go to some grocery store and see your book just sitting there and didn't even know that they ordered a bunch of copies and you can get your book? So I wanted to see my book in the airport, right? And I don't know if I'm right or wrong. And I don't know if there is a right or wrong, but I was like, man, people would at least give me a shot. Because we know there's a whole bunch of people ain't giving no shots if they see this. But if they see this, they might at least give it a shot. Now it doesn't negate the fact that I'm on the back too. But at least give me a shot. So that's why I changed the cover. So I want to finish talking about the editing. So the editing is about refinement. It's about precision. It's about meeting, in this particular point, it's about meeting the standard that the book market has for publishing a book, right? So I wanted to, and during this process, I fought in my mind about self-publishing, or going the traditional route. And so I wanted the book to be so tight, so on point, that if I was going to go the traditional route, it would be accepted, okay? So the traditional route is, let's jump to that, because we have a lot more, but I'm going to jump to the publishing because I know you're interested in that. There's two ways you can go. You can self-publish, or you can do it the institutional partnership way, which means that you're going to a traditional publishing company. But let me tell you, when you decide you want to go through a traditional publishing company, you have to hire an agent. The first thing you got to do is hire an agent, right? You cannot go yourself directly. So you watch the movies and you see that this person wrote a book and they sent copies to a publishing house, right? They just put it in a packet and they put all these pages in a packet and they send it to a publishing house and they say, tell me what you think. I hope you like it. We're gonna make a lot of money together. They'll never open it. Never open it. It's never going to get opened. Okay? It's never going to hit anybody's desk. The first thing you have to do is hire an agent. Like a sports agent. Not like a sports agent, but a writing agent, right? A publicist. So you need to hire somebody that deals with traditional publishing houses. And the first hurdle is get them to take you on as a client. And if they don't think the book's going to go fast and furious, they're not going to hire or let you hire them, because they're in it to make money and they get money from representing authors. So if your book's okay, or if it's not going to be a big seller, because I think my book was way better than okay, but it's not flying off the shelves, right? Not as of yet. Now, when you become famous, Oprah mentions you in her book club, you got something going, right? If somebody puts you on that has a huge audience, you got something going. I'm still expecting that. Here's the point. I'm ready. When it happens and I hit that right frequency, that right vein, and the right person reads the book and goes, we need to buy 80,000 copies of this and put them out. We need to promote this guy because he's helping people go from mediocrity to excellence, from poverty and paycheck to paycheck to living unapologetically. And we need to know what else is in this brother's mind. So we need to promote him. But I'm ready. So you need to write your book so you can be ready, okay? Because the revenue is going to come. So the traditional way, hire an agent. Then you submit a few chapters. And if they absolutely adore it and love it, then they will probably give you a contract and a publishing bonus, right? You've heard of authors getting a bonus, and then you tell them when you're going to have this many chapters and this many chapters, and then finally when is the book going to be done. They will edit it themselves. They're going to get you an editor. They're going to tell you what to take out. They're going to tell you what you need to add to it. They're going to tell you to change characters, to change concepts. They're probably going to tell you embellish, right? So you have to put up with all that if you want to go the traditional route. Hey, Tara Foster, one of my favorites. So they're going to put you through a ringer, okay? So you exchange certain rights for the book. They control the timeline of the book. They control the royalty percentage. You know, the infrastructure, the distribution, but you do get institutional credibility. If your book says, "Hey, it's published by," man, I can't think of one of those publishers, but if it's published by this big company, then you get credibility, right? Did you know that when people say number one bestseller, and you're like, "Oh, really?" You know, Mark Miraculous self-published a book and it's a number one bestseller. Let me tell you about that bullshit, okay? Really quick, 'cause I only got a few minutes. So what people do is they take and they say to all of their family and friends, listen very carefully. My book is going live at 1:54 on March 1st, 2026. And they send out an email and a text reminder. I need everybody to go to this link, and they'll give you the link on Amazon, and I need you to buy the book at 1:54, okay? So they love you, so they go buy your book at 1:54. You sell 60 copies, 70 copies, and that's that. So what happens is Amazon says, hey, Mark Miraculous was the number one bestseller on March 1st at 1:54, so he's an Amazon number one bestseller. That's what they do. That's all they do. They sell 60 copies. It could be 25 copies. But you just got to be the number one bestseller at the moment, for that minute, that you're pushing the book out. Okay? So I did not do that. I'm not righteous or holy or nothing else. It's just, if you think about it, it's sacrilegious to my own philosophy. Be the best, get the best, leave nothing to chance. Is that really the best? Are you really saying you're the best because for 60 seconds you sold more books than everybody else? There's no true value in saying that. And if you're listening and you wrote a book and you did it, I'm not hating on you. You should do whatever makes you happy. To say that I have never said I'm a number one bestseller, it's not true. I have, because my book is my number one bestseller. And I'm not playing with words. It is my number one bestseller. Okay? I don't say Amazon bestseller. I don't say New York Times bestseller is my bestseller. I don't advertise that a lot, but I am not going to say I've never said that. I have. But it's not that. It's me being honest with myself and my product. So for you, my producer's hitting me up. I don't know if he's telling me it's good or bad. He might be saying, shut that down. Let me see what he's telling me. Oh, he says I'm rocking on all points. Thank you, Doc. I appreciate you. So let's finish this up because we only have a few minutes. So publishing traditionally takes a lot. It takes a lot. Self-publishing is no problem. What you want to figure out is where and how you can self-publish. I used a company called Ingram Spark. Okay, there are plenty of publishers that will help you. I interviewed on my podcast other self-publishing companies that are smaller. I can't vouch for them, but I'd be happy to get you their names and numbers if you want to do that. But self-publishing, you maintain all the rights, of course, right? I changed the cover when I wanted to. If I was at a traditional firm, I would have never been able to change the cover. You maintain all control. There is a fee to self-publish. It's not crazy, and it's not a crazy amount. The most you're ever going to pay is for the editing. You do have to be responsible for your own editing, and you have to be responsible for your own marketing. But I will tell you, through Ingram Spark, my self-publishing company, it puts my book out. So you can get my book at Barnes & Noble. You can get my book anywhere they sell books. Okay, so it does give you venue to the big boys. What it doesn't do, of course, is say that you're a New York Times bestseller. And what that means is that I think over the course of a week, you have to sell 10,000 copies. And you can Google it to see what the qualifications are to be a New York Times bestseller. I know it's 10,000 copies. I don't know if it's a day or a week or a month, but it's one of those. Sell 10,000 copies. You got a hot book if you're selling 10,000 copies. Trust and believe. Hey, listen, if you have any questions, and you want me to answer them, hit me up, 419-972-1922. Man, I am so excited to be able to share this information with you. We had a steady stream of individuals staying on the show. If there's anything that I can do to help you, and I have helped several individuals with the process. We didn't talk about the ISBN number. There's a lot of things I had to skip over because the process is pretty detailed, but I gave you the highlights. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you come back to the show. If you have questions, please do not hesitate to ask. I am going to leave you in God's hands. This is Derek Gant, the 24K Life Show on Vibe106.com. Hey, come back. We're back next Sunday. Thanks, Rob. Usually I play some music during the show and more commercials. If you want to write a book, Rob, just hit me up, bro.
I was made for. I'm just walking in the hands of the Lord. Give me more, give me more, give me more. You went undercover with your grace. Detective, how you found me in my shame. But you didn't give me over to my chain. You arrested me with love and you sentenced me to change. Mugshot looking different, I'm amazed. Hey, you pulled me out the grave that you found me in. If you had to run it back, you do it all again. Yeah, and I ain't stepping out. No, I'm locked in and I ain't stressing out. Counted in his hands when they count me out. Sheesh. Don't it feel good? Don't it feel good just to be? Don't it feel good just to be, just to be, just to be in God's hands? Don't it feel good in God's hands? Knowing that you're standing in God's hands.
Hey, this is Derek Gant. Thank you for showing up. Have an amazing, prosperous week. Don't fall. Don't succumb to the noise, the bullshit. It's not for you. Stay focused.
Knowing that I'm covered by the blood, still so clean like dove.
For those of you that are here on our social media platform, I've turned off the radio show, so we're good. If you have questions, hey, I'm happy to answer them for you. You can text me. You can put notes in the show. If you've messaged the show on social media and I did not respond, just know I can't see it. Not your fault. I don't think I can see anything from LinkedIn. Text the show if you have questions. But just to close out, you need a government number to secure your book. You want to copyright your book. It's called an ISBN number, and you can reach out for that. You can buy a pack of numbers. So a pack of numbers, so I think they come in threes. You can buy one, you can buy three, or you can buy six, or you can buy nine. I don't know why they're odd numbers. I bought the three because I wanted to do a companion workbook, okay? And I wanted to be able to use that, or I can use it for a completely different book. But you need an ISBN. You're going to see it, right? The copyright, the ISBN. Just take a look at any book that you have on your shelf, and you're going to see on the inside all of the legalese that proves it's your content, that it was your idea. And you want to do that a little early, right? I mean, you want to do it early enough that no one can ever question if it was your content, right? You don't want somebody else saying, oh, I had that idea first, and or I had that title first. And when it comes to the title, it's tough because you want to wait until you're really, really done with your outline to really dive into the title. The title is obviously really important. I did a lot of homework. I went and looked at the covers of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books online that were in my genre, right? So if you're writing a spiritual book, and that's the other thing, when you go to write your book, you need to decide what category it is in. So if you answer those questions that I mentioned earlier, who does this book serve? What does it solve? It'll tell you okay, is this educational? Is this entertainment? Is this a how-to? And so you can really kind of dial in to what your book's about. But you want to finish the outline before you pick a title. I would suggest that you test the title. I can give you, not now, but if you hit me up there is a title generator, not for books, but just for anything, and it'll tell you how popular it is. I will tell you that having some continuity in the verbiage, like if you said Derek does derivatives, I mean that flows off the tongue. DDD, Derek does derivatives. So they're going to tell you things like that. Is that the title you want for your book? It just depends on what you're writing about. So if you have questions, hit me up. That's the end of the show. I would love to stay, but I got stuff to do. Be well. Listen, I'm Derek Gant. Be your best. Bring the best. Leave nothing to chance. Have a great day, everybody. Happy March 1st.